Hello, hello. Welcome to Wellness Wellbeing Wednesday. I am super excited about being here. Let's see. There we go. Hi, guys. I'm excited to be here. And we are at Wellness Wellbeing Wednesday. Happy 2023. We are going into this year amazing right now. And what I have for the series is identifying and embracing a worry free lifestyle. And we are in part 9. Okay. And today we are going to talk about the complexities of anxiety, part 2. But before we get started, as I always like to, just have a moment of stillness, a moment of silence for anyone that's been hurting, anyone that's been going through a hard time. If this is you, this is for you and me. Coming through the holidays, it's hard, and life is just not easy. And so I want to take a moment of stillness. If you were one of the victims in the horrific tragedies in Uvalde, or have loved ones or yourself experiencing from the horrific wars in the Ukraine, this is a moment of stillness, just as we ask God for that hedge of protection over our world, our country, our home, and most important, ourselves. Thank you so much for that. Well, we have Wellness Wellbeing Wednesday, and I want to kind of just go through some of them that I went through for last, since we've had a few wonderful speakers in between that we talked about. And that is on part 1, we talked about the many faces of anxiety, how anxiety can be. It can be defined as a subjective emotion characterized by feelings and apprehensions. It is worry, it can be concern, it can be physical symptoms that one experiences. And that is just one of the things. It also comes into organic diseases. And when we talk about those organic diseases, one of the things that sometimes get confused in medical care when you go to get checked out is it could be the temporal lobe of epilepsy that we've talked about, multiple sclerosis, a brain tumor, the central nervous system infections, systematic lupus, so many different more that it can go through. Then we went through point 3 of psychophysiological diseases. And that one right there really just spoke to home with me, because these go into very different ones, from migraines, headaches, obesity, anorexia, peptic ulcers, IBS, rashes. The list continues to go on. Then we also talked about in part 4 of the biochemistry and memory and anxiety response. And this right here went into the neurology, physiology, and the biochemistry that is shaped up within life responses. So this right there goes into those sensories that is, and it also goes into the emotional part. The fifth and final part that we talked about in part 1 was the anatomy of the fear response, which we're going to dive into a little bit more into part 2. But it talked about the brain, the whole brain, how it's involved in anxiety, the response. But perhaps the most important part is the hypothalamus and the amygdala nucleus part into the brain, which goes into those lessons of the fear, fight or flight fear responses that we actually even talked about with Lorraine a couple of weeks ago, which was wonderful. So these are just a few of them that we did talk about. My name is Michelle Maynard MacArthur, and I am your hospitality, health, and wellness strategist that is here to help guide you through a positive process for change. And that is with a lean, holistic healing approach from the inside out. That lean stands for our pillars of lifestyle, exercise, attitude, and nutrition. The fun part is when I get to take and show you to those beautiful top luxury wellness destinations around the world. But my focus and devotion is to you, helping improve your own health and well being while you find that balance of whatever is good for you between your self care, family, work, and play, and how you go about that so that you can live a healthier, longer life. That is my devotion to help you. And it comes from my purpose, passion, and why of being an overcomer of a degenerative progressive neuromuscular disorder along with depression for over 30 years now. But I'm here. No matter how hard the day might be, I continue. If I've got a debilitating migraine, can't even see, whatever it might be, just to keep pushing forward. And yesterday I had that, but I said, I'm going to get out and take the dog and go move, even though maybe it'll just move some things in, drinking some hot lemon water. We're in flu season, cold and flu, lots of viruses going around. Make sure that you stay healthy and you're drinking, hydrating with water. The tips that are being brought to you are from MacArthur Accommodations, and we are a hospitality, health and wellness coaching and consulting advisement company that specializes in that overall optimal health and wellness worldwide, with those innovations to reflect, recharge, and renew yourself one step at a time. So, this right here has been inspired by the book Worry Free Living by the wonderful late Dr. Frank Minerth, Dr. Paul Meyer, and Don Hawkins, who at one time had the Minerth Meyer Clinic, and today it is called the Meyer Clinic. But just as a disclaimer, I want to mention to all of you that this is just for educational purposes only. We are not here to treat, diagnose, or prescribe. So if you are in danger or in need of immediate help, please seek a professional immediately. Professional medical help immediately. Call 911, go to the doctor or the hospital, whatever that might be. If you're needing some resources, would love to help you as we go through and guide you through that positive process for change, as well as offer some resources of the many partners that we have, from psychologists to counselors to psychiatrists to maybe a DO or an internal medicine or a dentist, wherever that area is of an expertise that you need. We've got a plethora of some amazing, very well educated resources for you. So, the topic today is the complexity of anxiety, part two. Just talked about part one. So, number one for you is physical responses to anxiety. The healthy choices thought, though, the somatic and the automatic nervous system, the body is prepared for that fight or flight, like I mentioned. The psychophysiological disease of anxiety may affect what I talked about was the hypothalamus, which also affects the autonomic nervous system, which picks out a genetically weak organ in which a psychophysiological disease can result over a period of time, which this could be an ulcer, this could be high blood pressure, colitis, coronary heart disease, coronary artery disease, and many others. The medical disease of anxiety may affect, when we talk about the hypothalamus, it could go into the pituitary. And the pituitary gland, which sits into the brain, and all of its hormones that go through, such as the TSH, the FSH, the LH, ACTH, GH, prolactin, ADH, phyt, oxytocin, and various other glands. This part right here really sat home to me, just from the personal of really learning more about what that pituitary is and never realizing that until it really struck close to home to say. Number two is defense mechanisms and personality accentuation. Some individuals do not develop a medical disease, but their response to anxiety is to increase their use of defense mechanisms. The ways that lie to themselves and to accentuate their personality traits could uses and projections to blame others, the interjection to overlay blame themselves, the denial to avoid truth, rationalization. And let me make sure. Good. Which may become accentuated. That rationalization is usually to justify sinful behavior sometimes. The fantasy to escape, passive aggressiveness, sarcasm, etc., whichever, so many of them go. But the basic personalities that also become accentuated, obsessive, may become more rigid and controlling. The hysteric may become more emotional and act out sexually. Number three, mental manifestations. Individuals may deal with anxiety by developing mental symptoms that impair his or her occupational and social functioning over time. Symptoms can be psychological and affecting functions over time, resulting in neurosis, depression, disorders, phobias. Sometimes one may even deal with the anxiety by going into a altered state of consciousness, multiple personalities, the fugue state, or even may experience amnesia. Number four is preceding perspectives on anxiety disorders. It can result in three levels. For example, obsessive compulsive fears that might have committed the unpardonable sin, has a true theological anxiety. The current day anxieties issue resulting in rejection issues from family and friends. But the deep anxiety feelings come from childhood, unmet dependency issues. I'm going to stop there just for a moment, just to really think about that and pause. When you hear me talk on the traditional Chinese medicine side, how our emotions reside in our liver, which is why it's always good to really open up those hips. And when we open up those hips, it kind of goes through because one can experience constricted emotions, unfulfilled desires, not just panic attacks and palpitations that go through. That is why movement, nutrition, the attitude, the positive attitude, and the lifestyle, because you can go for 20 weeks that go through of trying to change a habit, but you could go for 20 months into changing a lifestyle that has been embedded into you. So that was just something else that really just resonated with me when I was reading this. But the fifth and final point that I have for you today, my friends, is diagnosing anxiety. Anxiety is at times easy to recognize, and at other times it's very difficult to spot. A patient where they talked about in the Minerth Minor Clinic lists symptoms, and the counselor's job is based on clinical impressions to diagnose the anxiety disorder. But a second method could have to do with the objective test. And this was interesting for me because these are some tests that you can just find wherever you kind of Google them in. And if you'd like me to drop those in the chat, send me a message. The MMPI, the Minnesota Multi-Phase Personality Inventory Scale, the TAT, the thematic apperception test, the Rorschach test. I know I mispronounced that. The TJTA, the Taylor Johnson temperament analysis, the Bender Gestalt visual motor integration test, and so many more. The medical tests that are also used to diagnose the mental disorders come from the MRI, the CAT scan, the PETT, which is the position emission transaxial tomography. And today in Clubhouse, we talked a lot more. I want to thank Kurt for really giving us that version of all of the live information that you did from your experience in radiology. But there are so many more. However, remember back in several of the topics back that go through, and that one right there is where we use the first is self care. What am I going to do for me? And in that self-care, the next part goes into having your friends, family, and loved ones. I call, or Dr. Townsend calls it, the 3 at 3. And who are your 3 closest ones that you can refer to, call to, if it's even 3 in the morning? Or you may need coaching. If it's coaching, we are here at your service to help guide you through that positive process for change, mindset change, lifestyle change, physical change, wherever that changes that you are looking to be freed for 2023 is what I have been saying. Or you may need something a little bit more uh, as far as in counseling and therapy, which is totally good. I highly recommend it. It's been one of the things through my life that's really helped me. Or you may need psychiatry, or you may need to have a team of experts, sometimes being hospitalized. Wherever you are in that, it is okay. It is because you are looking towards your self improvement to make yourself the better you of who you want to be. So I hope that this has brought you value, and I'm so honored that you come into this space. Hit the subscribe button over here if you're on my YouTube channel. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know any topics as we are going into the year that might be important to you. Would love to hear from you. And if you are looking to come and would love to talk about some wellness, would love to have you on as a speaker. Going to wish you guys off for a beautiful, blessed, and prosperous day. As I'm learning to stream on these different platforms, I do not have the capacity to show you how to do some of the stretches, because that's going to send you over to my IG, my Instagram, where I try to do some fun reels to give you some maybe later when things are not so busy. First quarter is super busy right now, but I'll have some ability to do this on the lives. Thank you guys for tuning in. Y'all have a beautiful, blessed, and prosperous day filled with, most important, abundant health. Bye bye.